Hello, this is my Durin's Forge base and campaign in Return to Moria updated tour. Front part, I haven't really changed anything because I haven't gotten anything that I felt like adding specifically up here. Still the 3 layers of walls to ensure that this couldn't be sieged. Not that sieges work properly at this location, but at least I know where they go now, because they go in the Gundabad encampment boss room. And then main additions are a little bit more DLC stuff over here, because we finally got to Bjorn's Lodge. So I've added some honey with the makeshift beehives over here, and then a spot for the armor whenever we get to display that properly. And then of course I've got proper displays for all the some trophies for Orc Hunter, bit of Inkcraft stuff with storage for the Entwood, and then a little spot for the Rohan stuff with the banner. Felt like the best thing to liven up this display. And then of course my Welling Springs for plenty of Entwood, and then more space on this side depending on what else we get added to the game. And I got space for blaze shrooms and sunken moss, which I will reevaluate order if that ever ends up happening. And then my axes, including my spot for my mithril axes, and plenty of space for the sandbox exclusive axes, and my storage for droppings. And then my warehouse is on this side, as it has been. Full pallets of most of the basic wood and stone materials, and all the wood and stone and the variants of them, with overflow chests, and then pallets and chests for everything else. Then of course my bulk smelting setup over here, if we ever get a proper supply of ore instead of the limited supply we get normally. Then I made sure I had these big lamps to kind of liven it up on this side, with the little lamps as well. And then this is of course my crafting and armory on this side. Then got all of my masterworks set up, lined up over here. Clean a token wander keg, but one of the things I've recently added was more wander keg storage so I can have a dedicated one for almost every brew. I'll show off that in a second. Then I got my little seating area with all the Orc Hunter stuff. I have upgraded the chest to ornate for most of them. And then now I've doubled up on a lot of the axes now that for the ritual charm, for the ritual rune. And then some halberds as well, halberds and battle axes as well, depending on what we got. I've got a full selection of such weapons in my sandbox world, but I have since we don't have all the axes and halberds and the like in campaign, I don't have them all set up, but I do have one for at least one for every tier from 2 onward, besides 5, because we only got the great sword as a one we can rune and encrust with, engrave with the rune ourselves. So, and then, as I said earlier, I've got a wall of wander kegs ready to go. I was just going to do 6 and a selection for just the 6 down here, but I ended up crafting filling up an extra one with the one that I was on the fence about whether I wanted to even have in my selection. So I just bit the bolt and double stacked it. We'll set up to double stack, so now I have space for a dozen, depending on if we get any more ales. The only one I don't have for wander kegs and brew skins is evening ale, because in a solo world like this, I shouldn't be using evening ale shouldn't need it in a brew skin or wander keg, because I'm probably at a base and that's when I need it. So it's not really necessary unless I was journeying on foot somewhere, but I literally have fast travel points set up to most locations, so it's pretty easy to do so, get everywhere without having to worry about such things. And then to facilitate the wander keg stuff, the wander keg expansion for a full wall of them, I added brew tanks for remaining stuff, and then even Orcish medicine, which I was lazily using my brew kettle for. And I also moved the elven farm boxes from over behind the statue to the middle here, so now I have space for a King's brew tank if I determine there's a brew I would like to have in a King's brew tank, but none of them have really. I'm unsure about the recent DLC ones, whether they're really worth it, because I don't think the guide that broke that stuff down was fully updated for all that stuff. So I'm at least doing a brew tank so I can to support the wander kegs. And then for Durin's folk, I will probably end up building some barracks, basically dormitories, whatever you want to call it, up top on either side to house my NPC population, I would imagine. But since I don't know exactly what that's going to look like yet, I'm going to hold off on that until we get them and figure out how they're going to work and go from there. The wander kegs were really motivated by the fact Dawnbreak felt like a good option already, even before but Mirror feels like the best option, so that's the one I've went with as my default for my token one. But Dawnbreak was already great choice to begin with, to have in that kind of quantity potentially. So, and then Dark Eye Stout really took that to the next level because it's best used in the field. So having an option to use it from Wander Keg felt like a great idea. But since I'm solo and don't necessarily need to use a ton of brews unless something goes horribly wrong and I'm getting overwhelmed then by something, then I just didn't really bother with them too much. So anyways, this is my return to Moria Durin's Forge base in campaign.